Welcome back to the Witness the Fitness podcast. Today we're going to talk about the motivation blueprint. I've got my bestest friend in the fitness world, Baz, back with me.
Thanks,
Baz,
man.
thanks for coming in
Thanks
again.
for having me again.
We're going to delve straight into motivation today, mate. So I'm just going to go straight to the chase.
Yeah.
Does motivation matter?
Yes, it does matter. I always have like a bit of a conflict with the word motivation because I know ultimately I always find it's a bit of a fleeting mental state, I guess. So let's say, for example, you have the person that's maybe never trained before, not trained for a while, goes into the gym and they absolutely smash it for 4 weeks. But then after a while, that starts to dwindle. So I guess motivation is like a fleeting thing that if it's not continued by something like consistently doing something, it can sort of dwindle a little bit. And that's kind of like a thing of it's very temporary. I always find the word motivate is too temporary for me.
Yeah, I mean, you hear people call it kind of bullshit. And it partly is simply because, and I think it's only bullshit, is because, like you said, people misinterpret what it actually is,
Yeah.
how it actually works,
Yes.
maybe even how to use it.
Yes.
So I'm well on board with motivation is a fleeting thing. When it's there, brilliant. When it's not, what you're doing. And it's whether you rely, and I know it sounds stupid, relying on motivation is generally not a good idea. I mean, my approach would be use motivation to enhance. So when things are going good and you feel good, okay, use that opportunity to kind of like do more, push more. And then the moment it's not there, it's kind of like, a bit tougher now, isn't it? Maybe don't go as hand, but try and stick to the habits.
You've hit it there with habits. It's definitely one of those. How many times does everybody sort of turn up to the gym? Even if we take it away from the gym and it's just your job, sometimes you have like a real driven day, you've done everything, and then other days you turn up and you go through the motions, but at least you're turning up and you're doing it. So it's consistently doing something. Even you have to kind of look at the greater good. You have to look at the future as well. So rather than thinking present, you've got to think, I'm doing this now to build a foundation for the future. So if at some point you're not motivated to train, you'll find yourself doing it anyway, and that's building something for the future. And I guess that's where motivation comes from. It's consistency, consistently doing something. And that's,
I mean, you've said it there. You can create motivation, all the time. And where do you get that through action? Because regular question I get asked or a statement is, I've lost my mojo.
Same.
I hear it all the time from clients, and they're looking for some magical advice or some magical statement or quote that I'm just, Rocky style.
Yeah.
It ain't about how hard you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, this ain't a film, man. Yeah, I know what you mean.
My advice is always like, go back to the habit again. Like, come and do one workout. The one workout is going to motivate you. Why? Because you get that feeling of like accomplishment.
Yeah,
and it's a reflection of what you've done, and you will then feel motivated once you've done it. You can't feel motivated before it because you need that accountability there, or that accomplishment would be the word, where you then feel propelled into it a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you say to your clients then? Like, Baz, I'm not feeling it. I've lost my mojo. It's so hard.
I know.
What do you say to them? Or,
do you know what? The pressure for a coach is a real thing, because I guess you're exactly the same. I love that feeling of when you've said something or done something and they feel motivated again. It's like, I love that feeling, but sometimes it's not there, and you have to go back to the basics and say, okay, why did you, what was your first passion to start training? What was your initial goal? Let's go back to the start. And you start talking about that, and then you start, okay, so what have you achieved in that time? And as soon as you start talking about achievement, and I guess that's one of the things that you start talking about what they've actually achieved within that journey. That itself creates like, oh yeah, I have achieved, I have done well. You start going through. One thing I did, I think it was actually a couple of weeks ago, I went and got someone's log sheet about when they're doing their weights and stuff. We go, that's when you started, and that's now. Look at those numbers, how they've gone up on different lifts, bench, squat, whatever it might be. And you start talking about their achievement, and all of a sudden they feel great again. But it will come down to a simple case of there's not going to be any kind of magical word. It is just doing the work anyway. Even if you feel a particular way, you've got to do the work, get through this little funk stage, if you want to call it that, and the light is at the other end.
I totally agree that goal setting is so important. It's got to be kind of really doable, realistic.
Yeah,
some people are setting themselves up like way too much. Like you're not going to achieve that. Or sometimes worse, it's like, is that all you're setting?
Yeah.
Is that the only amount that you're going to push yourself? No wonder you don't get that feeling of accomplishment, because it never really tried you. There was no effort that was there. Because what you need to do is
what
set
if you
up a
achieve
goal.
it as well?
Well, that's the thing. I'm sure you've done this, especially with your sport background, where you've accomplished something or you've had a level of achievement where you did not deserve it, or there was no effort applied. How do you feel? You get given the first place, but deep down you kind of know that didn't even try.
Yeah,
How do you feel? It's not fulfilling.
Yeah.
It's not motivating. You came first, no effort.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like the goal setting needs to be an effort. It needs to push you out of your boundaries a little bit. Obviously, it can't be to the level of like, I'm pushing myself that hard and I'm still nowhere near it. That's like totally inappropriate. But you need that effort, because without it, you ain't gonna get that feeling that you want. You know, that self-determination building up that we want. It just ain't happening.
Yeah, I think sometimes the struggle and adversity and the working through that is the achievement in itself.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it. I love it when things have been difficult. Again, if even just bringing it down to what we're talking about, if you just don't feel like training anymore, well, that's a struggle, isn't it? You're struggling at that particular point. You fight through it. You get to the end. You're back to where you were again. Well, that's an achievement.
It goes
what
into
an amazing feeling that is.
Yeah, it kind of goes into that hero story. You know, if you think about most movies, what always happens at the start?
Yeah,
they're a shit show.
Yeah.
You know, something's it's so hard, my life's whatever.
Yeah.
And then why is it so successful? Is because they push through that. And people kind of need that little bit of a mindset of kind of going, the trials and tribulations that I'm currently not enjoying, if they can kind of have more of a positive mindset, kind of going, but I can work through this. And when I do, the journey that I've had is going to propel me to do more anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I guess we're only touching on the first subject, but I guess with, you have to have, I think the acronym is MAP. So you have meaning, accomplishment, positive emotions, and all these things. If you can kind of fit, I'll probably come back to this one again with the other questions, because it kind of fills in a lot of what we're going to talk about. But I guess, meaning is a big thing. Why are you doing what you do? As soon as you figure that, again, goals are so short-lived. So if your goal is just to lose, well, what if you've lost the weight? Now what? So again, try and think beyond the initial goal.
So I start talking about that as a kind of second stage.
Yeah.
Because it's so deep. You know, some people aren't ready for that level of conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah.
So the always first thing is just set up a goal. But there's something that sits above a goal, and that is that everyone talks about, the why. And the moment people open their mouth when they have this conversation, the first thing that usually comes up, the people that are struggling, is they're extrinsically motivated.
Yeah.
Like they're doing things for outsource.
Yeah.
It might be
trinkets and trophies and stuff. Yeah.
I'm doing that because, you know, even like the trainer's there to keep me motivated.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. You're relying on this external motivator to keep going.
Yeah.
What happens when that's not there?
Yeah.
Which some point, sooner or later, you know, I'm doing it for the praise. Well done, you. And then the moment you don't get that well done, you, and that pat on the back, you kind of go, what? And now you're demotivated.
Yes.
Where I'm not saying intrinsic motivators are shit. They're just weak. They're weak motivators. Something like internally, like how you want to live your life, and those deeper questions really need to come to the front, and then you bank that up with some externals. So I'm doing this because I know deep down it's right for me, and it empowers me and it builds my confidence. I want that, or that accomplishment. You know, I see myself getting stronger, and then all of a sudden, to bank that up, every now and again you'll use the external, like the coach going, great job, keep going. And that just fuel, they're just chucking petrol on your fire. Absolutely. Occasionally. But the main source of fuel for that fire has to come has to come within.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it does come down to your, I guess your character type as well. If you're extrovert, you're probably more externally motivated. Introvert, you're probably more, as you said, the other way around, and you're more intrinsically motivated. Again, I'm kind of making an assumption now. I don't know that for a fact, but I think it might have something to do with it as well. So if you're, like I said, for me, for example, I'm definitely more intrinsically motivated, no matter what no matter what it is I'm trying to do. But again, I can't say that for certain whether that's true or not. I'm just saying that off the cuff, really. But I think there might be something in there.
I think it is for me personally, because I've had conversations recently around like high rocks where people start asking me like PBs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with a member literally the other day where we got to the end of it, and I was basically saying that my effort within that event trumps everything, because I know I've had it in the past with football where, let's say I do really, really well.
Yeah.
But when I reflect, I lacked effort, or there was an element that did not go the way I should, or did not showcase my best ability.
Yeah, yeah.
I've just PB'd. I'm going to have this, while I'm happy about that,
Yeah.
in a deeper sense, I'm kind of frustrated with it.
Yeah.
And therefore, the motivation of it is completely different. Where, let's say I don't get a PB, it is a shit show performance. But at the end of it, I kind of go, on that day, that was everything I had. I literally could not have done anything better.
You've got to be honest with yourself. Yeah.
My effort was full on. My brain and body was just fully engaged. And on that day, it is what it is. I'll be so content with that. Like, really happy with it. Like, effort.
Yeah.
Effort for me trumps performance every single time. And I think if people just kind of like, oh, you're doing your best, like deep down. And only you can really answer that question. You know, no one can tell me how hard I'm working and whether I've got more. They might look at my performance, and depending on what level they see it from and their ability and their kind of understanding of it, they may look at it and go, wow. But deep down, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And whether it's full on. And I think most people know deep down whether they're applying their full intent.
Yes, I think so. I don't know if you're the same or not, but I can remember in the past where I've done certain, maybe an event or whether boxing, whatever it might have been. I can remember moments within an actual event where I thought, I probably did let go a little bit there. I probably could have done a bit more. And then there's other times where you know full well there's nothing else I could have done. I did everything. There was plan A, B, C, Z. I did everything, and there was nothing else more I could have done. And even if you got the result or you didn't get the result, you know you did it. Exactly what you say. Again, to me, that's a win. You gave everything. There's nothing else you could have done.
I mean, there is some research. I stumbled across it ages ago where they was looking at kids.
Yeah.
And they got a group of kids, and they either praised performance or effort.
Oh, okay.
And then they monitored their efforts, how much they tried and how much they succeeded further down the line. So what they found with kids that was then praised for their performance. So you got an A star, well done you. That was an amazing performance. What they found over time as they kept testing them is that their performance slowly dropped.
The ones that were given praise?
For performance.
Okay.
The ones that were praised for their effort, regardless of the result, like you've applied your effort, I'm going to praise the fact that I've seen you apply that effort.
Yeah.
Their grades over time did what?
It went the other way. It
kept going up.
Interesting.
And why? Because when you praise effort, people are more motivated to, or you could even necessarily motivate, you could be, say, conditioned to keep applying effort.
Yeah.
You know, praise the outcome that you want. Well, I want them to try hard.
Yeah.
Goes for that. And you think about, if I praise the outcome, just the performance, you're going to get this weird block where they may think that that's just what happens. I turn up, and I get that result, and then sooner or later it drops their effort because they think they're just going to win because
it's not there. That's very interesting. That's really interesting.
And you know, when I've applied that to myself, I don't know. I think that's maybe why my mindset is, because I've always been praised for like, do your best, do your best, do your best, and therefore throughout whatever I've done, I've always kind of tried to do what I can, like apply that effort. Is there any more?
But over time and consistently doing that. Yeah, you chip away at things, don't you? And
regardless of
exactly, yeah.
So motivation for me has got an emotional context.
Yeah, there's so many caveats, isn't there?
Yeah. And really, there's a practical element to it. So how do you help clients kind of separate the emotional response that always crops up versus actually just trying to get them back onto that kind of, maybe that we just need these practical things going in a little bit better? What do you think?
Again, I guess you've got to look at presently where they are compared to what they're building now for the future. So again, it's bringing them back down to where they are currently, where they think their mindset is, and again, it comes back to why they started doing what they did, again, why they started their journey, and it's almost like you have to reset. I think we all get to a point, whether it's training, whether it's family, whether it's jobs, whatever. It's like, why am I doing this? So again, I think for me, I can be a creature of habit. I think that's why I've trained for as long as I've trained. We were talking earlier about. I don't even know why I train anymore. I do it. It's gone beyond like goals and achievements and motivation. I robotically do it. There's no. I don't know. There's no pleasure or pain or anything now. I'm actually quite that's the point I'm at with it, and I don't expect everyone to get to that point. I don't even know if I'm making any point now.
It's about habit.
I'm going off. It is habit.
It's habit.
I've kind of gone. I think I've gone off piste a little bit there, but I think it's coming back to that reset. I think, and again, if someone's feeling something, how do I get them back onto that track? Again, I've got to bring them back down to where they were at the start, and then rebuild from that.
I think, to kind of summarize what you've just gone through, it's about helping them understand that this feeling you'll get, like all feelings and emotions, is again fleeting. You're not going to feel this all the time.
No.
And what's more important is the practical habit and the consistency that we're trying to build up.
Yeah.
And it's just trying to bring the eye line back onto create that habit. Sooner or later, you won't even necessarily need motivation.
Yeah.
We have gone through the same process they're currently going through.
Yes.
The difference is we did ours ages ago. I remember when I was a lot younger, so when I first started training, I could easily say now that I was a weak trainer. And that's not about physical output. That was about me deciding it was a lot easier to not do training sessions and stick to the routines when I was a lot younger. And then over the time, because I've stuck to it, and it is part of my job, career, lifestyle, it then morphed.
Yeah.
It then morphed into something.
You do become beyond that, don't you?
Yeah, and it's,
I know exactly what
it's trying to help people understand that it's a journey. I mean, the reset, what you say, is massively important, because I try and get this thought process with people where motivation and all that kind of jazz is not a linear line, just like lifting weights. Do you think that, okay, today we're lifting 50 kg off the floor, next week we do 55, 60, 65, but just keep adding 5 on.
Yeah.
One linear line. It's not happening. It's not happening. Anyone that's even lifting any
How long
weights.
does that happen? Yeah, exactly.
What we do, we have periods of time where we focus on foundations, moving well. Then we have periods of time where we're really, trying to bump up the weight, push the body a little bit, and then we bring it off.
Yeah.
And then we might loop through that again. And for me, motivation and it's the same kind of thing. It might be a case of the reason why you're feeling a little bit motivated because you're a bit tired. And maybe we just need a little bit of respite. Don't mean we're going to stop, but we may just reduce.
Yeah.
And you're going to move your mindset, and we're going to train your mind just like we train your body. There's periods where we push through regardless, because it's what we need to do right now.
Absolutely.
And there's periods where we're just going to let that lie, and we're just going to keep it nice, low intensity.
People overlook the maintenance stage.
Yep.
No matter what that might be.
Yep.
Just doing the process. People totally overlook that, and it's so important. And definitely part of the reset stage as well.
I talk about maintenance stages with people that lose weight, because again, it goes back into what I've just said. They want this consistent linear loss, and I'm like, there ain't one.
I wish that was the case.
Fluctuate.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, and I'm like, the way I try and explain it, like, we need a good few months where don't lose any weight. Obviously, don't put it on because you've worked really hard, but let's just stay where you are.
Maintain.
What this is going to give you is give your body a respite from continually burning and using up fuel and working in a higher state.
Yeah.
We're just going to let it recover a little bit from all them internal processes of burning through fat, working and recovering the muscle from the training. Just let it settle. And then maybe in 2 or 3 months, when your mindset, funny enough, where your body's kind of like gone to your mind going, we feel a bit better. We're like, we've probably recovered. Then we'll start going, right, where are we at? Let's reassess. how much body fat do we need to reduce again? And on we go. And I think motivation is exactly the same way. Just
I think sometimes when
stop
you take
it.
away those external pressures as well, when you take away the pressures of why you come, like why you train, why you do what you do, you take that away and just strip it down and then just turn up and go through the process. You may actually find that you enjoy it again. You haven't got that pressure. You haven't got that pressure of, well, I've not lost any weight this month. I've not put anything on the barbell this month in terms of like a PB or weight gain or anything. Take that away, take away all those pressures and just enjoy what you do.
Yep.
You'll probably find that you'll get that because you haven't got that pressure on yourself. I don't know why we always need to achieve all the time when sometimes just the process itself is enjoyable.
I mean, as trainers, as coaches, I think I've fell foul of this in the past. Like, where my job is reliant on getting results, and that's just the way it is.
Same. Yeah.
So therefore, I've got like an external pressure, even from that client, that's kind of going, I want to get stronger. But I've completely moved away from that. Not completely, that's wrong. But I've moved away from it slightly.
Yeah.
I'm more centered now, where I have conversations where like I can tell there's no point of us trying to get stronger at this stage and bump them numbers up.
Yeah.
And I've had not uncomfortable conversations where they're kind of like, we're going to go into a maintenance station. Like, oh, well, I want to try this and push this and I want to try and do more, Pete. And I'm like, no, we're going to lift weights for lifting weights' sake. There's no pressure on numbers. That don't mean we're going to lift light. We're still going to offer challenging.
You're still going to feel something.
There's no pressure to do or do not do better than you did before. If it happens, brilliant. If it don't, we're just lifting for lifting's sake. And it might be just for a period of time.
Exactly. I mean, are you going to feel better stopping altogether? Is that going to make you feel better? Are you going to achieve more that way? Probably not.
No.
So there's certainly something to be said about that. That's for sure. Yeah.
So Baz, with both of our kind of businesses, our main kind of attack point is always group fitness.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you're the same. For me, I find it a massive aid simply because it takes a lot of onus on me. So kind of like, where do you see and what do you see your kind of group element within your gym as the kind of key beneficiary for like helping people's motivation? What do you see? How do you use it?
Yeah, I think I guess, I think you're the same as well. We both come from like one-on-one personal training backgrounds, which is absolutely fantastic. And you then just motivating one person. When you bring that into a group, the support and accountability that you get within a group is kind of like a bit of a game changer, I guess, especially when you've got like a room full of people with all very similar goals. They all differ a little bit, of course. Not everyone needs to lose weight. Some people need to gain weight. Some people just need to get fitter. But ultimately, you all have a goal. You're all kind of aware of each other's goals as well, because within a group, you will talk about what it is you're trying to achieve. And again, I think you're probably very similar. If you're the kind of business owner that tries to get very like-minded people into one room, things are going to happen. Things are going to bloom and change and achieve. And I think that is the beauty of certainly of group fitness for certain.
I mean, I've had uncomfortable conversations with people that have been here for a small amount of time and they've maybe finished the end of a program. It's not happened much, but it has happened where I've had this conversation where I've gone, I don't think the studio is right for you.
Yeah.
And, in the nicest possible way, it's me pretty much going, you're not welcome here.
Yeah.
And I've said this because their approach is negative.
Yeah.
So they're always, like, oh, it's so hard. I'm not saying they can't say that. It's the way they say it and how consistent they are. And they're always looking to break people up. They're always trying to engage people in conversation to stop them working out.
Yeah.
And over time, when you look at my community, there's what's known as like a social herding. Over time, I have collected people, for want of a better way of phrasing it, where they've got a similar mindset to kind of go, this is what happens here. When you come here, don't matter what level you're at, but you apply effort, you be friendly, you smile and help people regardless. There's no ego, there's no looking and down your nose going, I'm better than you because I can lift more weights or run faster than you. None of that bullshit.
I don't have that either.
I try and, any element of that, I try and stop it. And I think that's why it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And that's why people are motivated, because it's I always try and sustain. It's not always perfect, don't always work, but try and sustain the positivity around that effort again.
Yeah.
And actually just doing your best and helping facilitate, turn up regular,
Yeah.
work hard, don't make excuses, these kind of things.
Yeah, exactly. And that has a lasting effect on the people around you as well. It's got on my back as well there, Gym Without Judgment.
Gym Without Judgment,
exactly
I love
what
that.
we do. Yeah, so we kind of that's what we try and encompass all the time. So a lot of the people that we get coming through the door have had bad experiences with gyms as well, especially in the commercial sector. You have such a mix of people, for whatever reason they've not felt comfortable there. Well, you won't have that when you come to us. Exactly the same with what you've got at Witness to Fitness. Exactly the same sort of thing. You come through the door, you are supported, you're not judged. I don't care what your goal is or what that person's goal is. You've all got your own individual reasons for walking through that door and doing what you do, and you will be supported not just by me, but everyone who walks through the door. Because just like you, I don't have people that walk through the door who doesn't adhere to that.
Yep.
The energy sucking vampires or whatever you want to call them.
Yep.
I won't have that. I've been very lucky so far that everyone that's been encouraged to come to.
I don't think that's anything to do with luck. I think that's the message you portray.
Hopefully.
Because I really think that, because the amount of people that I get, because I always do like a phone consult first.
Yeah.
And the phone consult, they assume it's going to be a sales pitch. And it's not.
Yeah. It's whether I want you or not.
Yeah. And they don't. And it's halfway through the conversation, I've already got a clue. And while I'm not I'm not overly direct, if I don't want them because they've said particular things or they've got, do you know what I mean? Their expectation, they're wanting quick fixes. Yeah. They just want to get fit for a holiday and that's it. Or
you can get an energy, you can get a certain energy over a phone call.
You get a pick up, if they're rude and abrupt to me and this is their first time of speaking to me.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah.
And I'll just politely kind of go, unfortunately, our programs aren't suitable for you.
Yeah.
And I'll just take that energy because I don't want that energy. If they're rude and abrupt to me on the phone, the likelihood of them being rude and abrupt to me here and to other members, in my opinion, is high.
Yeah.
The first time you meet someone, generally, you're always going to get the best version of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a similar thing. What's it called? Like the waiter paradox or something like that. Yeah. Where, for example, if you're with someone that you don't know and they're rude to a waiter, that pretty much tells you that probably further on down the line they're going to be either rude to you or there's something about their character you probably won't like,
or it's going to escalate and and build up.
We all want to try and be kind in life, don't we? I know it's very overly used now. Be kind, be kind. A lot of people say it and then aren't.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you can tell a lot from people over a phone call when you're in a social situation like that, especially when you don't know them very well, and they do things like that. I think it says a lot. It says a lot. Yeah. You're telling me a lot of things without telling me things.
Yeah,
it's one of those.
And that's one way that, weirdly, I sustain motivation in my studio.
Yeah,
because I'm trying to eradicate people that would cause problems.
Yeah,
be rude to people, and just go against all our kind of core values and morals overall.
You can have the logo, man. The Gym Without Judgment, if you want it as well. So
yes, man.
Take it.
I'll take that. I'm going to stick that on the wall. I thought you're the also one that was. Did you not have a little sign saying "Don't be a dick"? Was that you?
Yeah, that's me as well. Yeah, I need to get that and
slightly
light here. Do not be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
As soon as you walk in, massive banner. Do not be a dickhead.
Yeah, and a sheet underneath where you sign it. Right? Agree to not be a dick.
Yeah, right? So when you are a dick,
I'll bring it back out.
Until it comes back around in your face and you was the one being a dickhead.
Yeah, exactly. Get out.
You give us all them burpees. You're actually the dickhead. Yeah. It's not about that. It's not about that.
Exactly that, man.
Right. Last thing I wanted to talk about in terms of motivation that I see is the all or nothing mindset versus the growth mindset. So how would you describe kind of the all or nothing and the opposition to that, the growth mindset? How do you see that?
Yeah, I guess we can't, again, I think we touched on that right at the start of the conversation where all or nothing, I suppose, is that I want all my results in a very short amount of time. And if I don't get it, I probably will quit. I guess that's all or nothing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's how I see it anyway. Whereas growth is very much doing something now to have like a better future or get closer to your goals in the future, which takes a little bit longer. There's a lot of chipping away. It's a little bit like expecting a pile of bricks to just be a house. Where's the foundation? It's kind of that's like an all or nothing, isn't it?
Dig the hole.
You dig the hole, man. You've got to do lots and lots of digging. You've got to get the stuff that you don't see underneath the bricks before you get them. I don't know if I'm going off topic there. But
no, it builds up.
So yeah, it's that's kind of how I see the all or nothing versus that growth mindset people. And again, sometimes it's something that you may get people come in that are all or nothing, and you kind of have to be realistic with them and just say, love that. I love that you want everything, but let's kind of like have an element of both. It's certainly,
Yeah.
you can get that equilibrium, I guess, between the two.
Yeah, I see all or nothing as just like perfectionism. You know, when you set up going, you know, ideally we need you training 3 to 4 times a week. Right, it needs to be 4 then. Yeah, but no, it has to be 4. And if I don't do 4, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
Oh, I only did 1. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm going to quit. That is all or nothing. And it's like you came to me not having trained. We said we was going to build up to 3 or 4 sessions a week, and you saw training once a week when you used to train no times a week as failure and a reason to quit.
And look at that as they've not seen the achievement there.
Yeah.
Again, if they're already doing 3 sessions, then can you go for a walk?
It's just
is it, you know, is it
just give me
does
something.
it always have to be a workout? Does it always have to be something that's really, really massive output? So just that small little chip.
I mean,
that extra brick. You know?
I always try and get a bigger perspective and kind of go, let's just look over a long term. Because if you've only been working at for, let's say, 4 weeks, well, it don't actually matter at that stage.
No.
Because you ain't got enough data to look back on. Let's say you have done 12 weeks. Let's just zoom out. On average, because we had 1 week was once, another week was twice, another week was 3, and then 2, and then 4, and then 1.
Yeah.
And then go, let's just crudely average this out. And it ended up being 2.85 sessions. Okay. That's about 3 sessions a week.
Yeah.
I'm really, really happy with that overall. So have you got enough data to even make it, you know, give you a broader sense? You're trying to establish consistency and routine. You should be focusing on that rather than those weeks that didn't quite go to plan.
Yeah.
And just simplify that kind of aspect. Now, you still may look at the effort and kind of go, I had more, and I might agree with you. And we should be getting about 3.5 on the average. And we'll just growth mindset, work our way up to that.
Yeah,
it don't
you
have
haven't
to
stopped,
be.
which is the main thing. So at some point you've kind of said to yourself, I'm not getting this, but I've turned up anyway. And again, you've nailed it there, I think. Yeah.
I mean, the all or nothing, it don't really make sense anyway, because they'll blame one workout. I missed one workout.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm a failure and it's not going to work. And then I sometimes fall into the question of like, so let's say you did that workout. You've come in, you've lifted some weights, you've got a bit out of breath. At the end of the session, you've looked at yourself in the mirror because you've got these goals around weight management, getting bigger and stronger. That one session, look at yourself in the mirror. What has changed?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Apart from you've done the work anyway.
So therefore, and you can flip side that. Let's say you missed that session. What's changed? Nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually matter. What matters is the consistency that we're building up. Now, if you're regularly missing sessions, break that chain.
Yeah,
that's
you've
a
got to
poor
break
habit.
that cycle. Absolutely.
That's when we need to go hard in. The moment you're kind of didn't train once, didn't train once. That's worse. That's worse.
Yeah.
That needs sorting.
Yeah.
But if you train a bit, missed a bit, and
we can work on that.
Yeah,
that's good. You can get something from that as well.
We've still got growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are moving through.
I massively agree with that. I'm an advocate for that one. Absolutely.
I think some people self-sabotage it anyway. Like they may not talk about it, but they may be trying to look for a way out.
Yeah, there is. I mean, again, the all or nothing thing. It's. I mean, how long can you do that for as well? I mean, that's the equivalent of, I don't know, putting your foot down in a car. At some point, you're going to run out of fuel. Do you know what I mean? You're going to have to stop at some point. Whereas if you just took it gradually, you'd last longer, get more from it, get more from the journey. So although there's something to be said about the all or nothing mentality, it's how long can you maintain that?
Cool. It is a bit like a crash diet as well, where you just go hard.
Yeah.
And then you burn out because you can't sustain that.
Yeah.
The all or nothing, you are not sustaining it.
Yeah.
Either end.
There's no long term there. It's so short term.
So basically, if people have got an all or nothing mindset, sooner or later, you're going to burn out and your motivation is going to disappear. Either end.
Yeah.
And actually, if you just focus on small, gradual growth points where we've set realistic goals. We've got accountability from people.
Yeah.
We're kind of working on that intrinsicness of like why I'm doing stuff from a deeper sense. I then get people backing me up with them extrinsic and then rewards.
Group. Yeah, that's the beauty
and then
of the group.
From the group. So I think that kind of summarizes like maybe how to boost motivation, maybe how to overcome barriers. If you was to pick one or two things, what do you think are the key bits? So obviously we kind of summarized a lot of the different bits. What would you say is like, get this in place? It's going to have potentially a more profound effect.
I think the one thing we've got from the conversation we've just had there is that no matter what, you don't stop.
Yeah.
I think ultimately, even if you've got to a point where, do you know what, I just hate training. Okay, well that's an issue. So we need to maybe look at that and say, what else could you do that you do enjoy? You've got to enjoy the process. You've got to. And again, is there going to be a motivation from that? Maybe. It might. Do you know what? There may actually come a point where you do need some kind of break, not stop. Some kind of break. That's worst case scenario. I've never come across it yet. I don't think I've ever had to do that yet. To the point where, do you know what? I think you should take a break for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, and then come back. I've not had to do it yet. I'm lucky again. But
see, I don't see exercise all the same because my regular advice is like, don't stop, change the type, change the intensity. That's
kind of what I was getting at. Yeah, so
the frequency.
Do something else if you really don't enjoy it that much. Then we've got to. I feel like we've got to do something.
Yeah,
you can't just. Sit down.
When you look at the guidance, so when you look at like what is the guidance from like government and where the government get it from, all the awarding bodies and all the scientific bases, they pretty much come and say you should be physically active every single day.
Yeah.
Now, how you define physically active is the key bit.
Yeah.
But it's not all what you think. It's not all running yourself into the ground. It's not lifting as heavy as you can. There are elements of it, but it might be going for a walk.
Yeah.
It might be doing some flexibility training, do some stretching.
Yeah. I mean, just the presence of being outdoors really does lift your mood. I know it's very cliche, but it really does. Stepping out the door, breathing in some nice fresh air, walking somewhere beautiful.
Those people that are stressed, if you go and spend time in nature, it literally reduces heart rate and blood pressure.
That is fact. Yeah. When you're surrounded by grey and then you go out to the green, what a difference.
Yeah.
Surrounded by no brick, no people, no nothing.
See,
out in nature.
And to enhance that further, for me, all you need to do is just kind of use your senses. So when you go to these green spaces, start breathing deeply.
Yeah.
Take in the senses, the smells, the sights.
Absolutely.
I know this sounds weird. Touch stuff, like touch trees and
yeah.
There's a grounding to it that just there's something deep within us on a more of a kind of natural level where there is a calming effect.
Yeah.
Versus the concrete noise rush
that
then has that counter effect.
Nature is natural. What we're surrounded by now isn't.
Yeah.
So you come back to your primal level, don't you? I guess.
I mean, how clear and motivated do you feel just by going spending 10 minutes in nature?
Yeah.
And
I know.
No one would really make that connection. I'm feeling demotivated, and that might be a case of you need to change your environment.
Yeah.
And it's not a case of you're not unmotivated. It's because you've got this stress applied to you. And if we can just remove some of it by being...
You're right. You could say,
grounding.
Are you actually demotivated or are you feeling something else?
Yeah.
You may have just like come up with the conclusion that you're not motivated. It's actually not that.
It's like when people go, I'm hungry, but deep down there was just
bored.
or they're not hydrated.
Yeah.
You needed a bit of water and salt, not food.
Yeah.
And it could be the same kind of thing where you're not demotivated, you're just lacking something else that you're not putting in. Sleep. I've done this with people. I'm like, go and sleep on it. And they think that that's irrelevant of time. Like, just let time pass. It's not. When I say go and sleep on it, I mean like come back feeling refreshed.
Yes.
Like prioritize the sleep so you then recover better. Mindset's going to change a little bit. You'll wake up and go, how's your motivation feel now? Better. I feel a little more. Why? Because you're not tired.
Yes, exactly that.
And then all of a sudden you go, you weren't demotivated, you were tired.
You were knackered.
And it's just, it may be looking at how do we then build that motivation. We're going back to
all or nothing again, aren't we?
Yep.
You're going back to all or nothing at work, then to the gym, all or nothing.
Yeah.
Everything's all or nothing. And you're right, yeah. Take a step back.
I mean, I always
reflect.
Talk about the 3 pillars of health. The main ones, Are you eating well? No. Let's focus on a few bits of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Do a bit of that. Have a meal with, make sure one meal a day, just one, is really healthy. Are you training? No. Well, let's try and get a bit of training. That could be any type of physical activity. Just
Like
come
we've
and
just spoken
stretch.
about,
Just come and stretch. And are you sleeping well? No, go to bed earlier. You might not go to sleep straight away.
Yeah.
Just go to bed earlier. Get rid of your phone and stuff and just lay there to not do anything.
Yeah.
Not even to go to sleep. Just chill.
Yeah.
Switch off. And weirdly, when people start to bring these three main pillars into place, motivation comes back.
I mean, when did that happen? When did that happen where we live in a life where doing nothing feels like you feel guilty in some way?
I suffer with that.
Like, oh no, I do. That's what I mean. When did this happen, or has it always been a thing?
I know this sounds stupid. I have to do things that distract me, that I know
distraction these days. My God.
No,
yeah.
so I mean, like, to help me relax, I
Yeah.
will purposely do things that are pointless to then stop me from
doing the other thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is going to sound dead sad.
No.
I bought some adult Lego, and Jodie laughs at me because I'll take myself away and I'll spend maybe half an hour where I've just got this, and it's fucking hard.
Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah.
And just for half an hour, I'll just build it.
Yeah. Rather than scrolling.
Yeah, or just constantly working on my business, on my accounts, or this, that, and the other. Yeah. I'm like, I know I should be having I need some reset.
Yeah.
Like you were saying.
That's a great way of doing it. I like that.
I will distract myself with something that's not shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like scrolling or
something that's going to induce cortisol or stress hormones.
Yes, I don't want any of that.
You're not getting that with that.
Just trying to look at a picture on the sheet and then I've got to build that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, all I'm thinking about is how to put these blocks together in the way, rather than, I need to chase up that client. I need to do that program. I need to do my accounts. I need to make sure that's getting paid. I need to send off my utility bills. And it's
stress.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I will get to a point where I'm like, I ain't got this anymore. I've got no motivation. I don't want to do it.
I might get some Lego. You've sold that to me.
I've sold it. It's Christmas soon. Anyone that gets a Secret Santa for Baz, please, adult Lego, not the cheap stuff, the expensive stuff, because he deserves it. Baz, we're going to end today's podcast, The Motivation Blueprint. I'm hoping all the listeners have really maybe took something for it. Maybe they need to work on, the accountability and support. Maybe they need to work on not being a perfectionist and having that growth mindset. Maybe you need to set realistic goals and kind of just growing through it and chipping away. Either way, make sure you press like, you subscribe to the channel, stay active, stay healthy, stay motivated, and make sure you tune in next time for the Witness to Fitness podcast. Cheers, Baz.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Brilliant. We'll do this again.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.